Yo, welcome back to another episode of Mailbag Monday by the Money Matters podcast. You guys want a proper podcast introduction? Well, fuck your podcast introduction because they're a waste of time. And this is hardly a real podcast. This is me, my dad, and my best friend hanging out talking Bitcoin once a week. Don't take us too seriously unless you want to be right. Then listen to everything we have to say because we've been right about Bitcoin for the last 10 years. Real quick, Dylan's got a Satoshi Nakamoto hat on. My dad has a UASF hat on. Dylan, pop quiz. Sorry to embarrass you so early on in the podcast. What does UASF stand for? Do you know?
User activated soft fork.
Oh, embarrassed me. Good one. Ding, ding, ding. That's correct. That is from the block size wars. So I had to go get a Bitcoin hat. Do you guys have any guesses in what Bitcoin hat I decided? There's no way you could get it right because there's a million Bitcoin hats.
El Salvador. It's gotta be an El Salvador hat.
Feel like I'm a 4-star
Bitcoin racing team.
Recruit. Bitcoin racing team. That's correct.
Yeah.
The Bitcoin racing team. The Indy 500. The Indy 21 million when we raced that car. All right. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great. Just a little tired.
Happy to be here.
Okay. As we do, I say we kick it off with dollar bill. Before you dollar bill all over us, Dad, we are trading at $63,027.34. Bitcoin is up about 2.5% in the last 24 hours on Monday, July 1st. So a little bit of a rebound from the 60,000 low range. What are you thinking?
Oh, I tell you guys are getting the same thing about. Get tired of hearing me say the same things. Yes, Bitcoin is rebounding. The Dow at 39,000 is up 13% year over year. Gold at 2,300 is up 21%. Real estate 6.5%. I always like including, our stimulus checks. I believe totaled $814 billion. The total market cap of Bitcoin is $1.25 trillion. The total market cap of Ether is $400 billion. So the ability, with the government's, response to an economic downturn to send out basically 2 market caps of Ether to keep the economy stimulated really tells you all you need to know about your government's dedication to their, dual mandate. Again, they're supposed to promote economic growth and protect the purchasing power of the currency. I don't think mailing out $800 billion in response to a flu epidemic is really, what does that tell you? And the markets respond accordingly, right? Double-digit percentage gains across 3 different asset classes. Well, I'm exaggerating on real estate, but Dow, gold, and real estate close. That's 3 different asset classes, 3 different supply demand fundamentals. As you know, I consider real estate has always been more of a demographic story. Precious metals, more of an emerging market story. Think China, India. The Dow, should be reflecting U.S. business conditions. Why are they all up 15%? I think because they're all priced in dollars, and the trade is right. Is to find the fastest horse in the short dollar trade. And to me, that's always been Bitcoin. Get long, stay long. I know I quip a lot about this, but this actually is true. I'm having a strong year. I'm on the verge of having a real strong year, and I have not logged into my account. I don't know, months. I don't see any reason to messing with it. A lot of those wallet applications, when they ask you to fill in the quantity, right? And a lot of them give you the option of just all. So whatever free funds I have, so I don't have to do the math on the fractions. I think that's what I did. I think I just clicked all and logged out. And if that, it's just one of those markets where you can actually get away with that this year. Get long, get paid, and it's working so far.
Yeah, I was golfing yesterday. I fucking suck at golf, but I was golfing with this kid I had never met before, and he's like, "Oh, you're Bitcoin. How'd you do that?" How'd I do it? I bought some. Well, what else? No, that's it. That's all I've done. just I got long. What else did you have to do Bitcoin well? Stay long. And anything else? No, that's literally it. You get long, you stay long. That's it. It's not easy, but that's it. So
yeah, no, you know what's funny is that advice really does echo a lot of the advice I got when I first walked on a trading floor. They go, well, am I thinking technical analysis? Do I need a fundamental background? I go, Billy, just walk into a trading pit and put a position on, and you will, because now you got the rent money on the line. You will learn that market, right? You will learn whether you got to pay attention to that Fed official or whether you got to pay attention to that economic number, right? Because now you got the rent on the line. No, it's funny that advice that you're getting or giving is echoes things that I had when I was starting my career. Yeah, get off zero. I hear that a lot. Get long, get paid. I usually start my introduction by showing pretty much name an asset class that's having a double-digit year. I think the story's dollar basement.
Yeah. It was funny because this guy that I met, really smart, bright guy. He's got more degrees than I have fucking like letters in my name. And he still doesn't understand what Saylor is doing. He's like, I think what Saylor's doing is risky. What do you think he's up to? And I was like, who? What? Sorry, let me shank this drive real quick. What'd you say? What do I think Saylor's doing? I think Saylor's getting long and staying long. He's like, no, have you looked at his EBITDA? I said, no. I'm trying here. Let me explain to you. Saylor's trading in dollars that only go down, and he's buying Bitcoin that only goes up. He's doing this thing on this podcast I record we call getting long and getting paid. That's what I think Saylor's doing. And then I go shrink another drive, and he's like, no, let me show you the financial quarterly. I'm like, no, you're not listening, man. I didn't go to college. He's buying Bitcoin and he's holding it. I don't know how else to explain. I know you're a smart guy, but trust me on this one. All your fiat degrees are getting in the way of your intuition. He's not holding the thing that only goes down, and he's hoarding the thing that only goes up. And he's made billions of dollars doing that. Trust me. I know I'm a college dropout, but I swear to God, that's what he's doing. That's all he's doing. So that's it. It is as simple as getting long and getting paid, which is unfortunate for all the people that are too smart to just simply do that. I was at dinner with Saylor in Prague, and he said, the problem with half the world is they're too smart for their own good. He's like, if they could just buy Bitcoin and shut the fuck up, they'd be way better off in their life than if they went and ran all their economic degree analysis on why or not it's a good idea to trade shitty money for better money. Get long, get paid.
When you say it's funny, when I started my career at the exchange was kind of a coincident time. They were just beginning to introduce financial futures. Only nobody at the Board of Trade really knew how they worked that well. They used to work with the University of Chicago a lot, kind of a free market think tank group on designing these products and stuff. But it'd be funny because the guys, Senior and all his friends are talking up, this is the future. Come on, get out of the oat pit. You got to start making markets, right? And interest rate futures, stock index futures, euro dollars. And it was funny because I got to see that develop in jump cuts, right? Because I was only working summer jobs, so I was finishing college. And you would think that the guys who helped design those contracts, the guys that really understood it, really understood those markets or really understood Fed policy, would have an edge over, the old school grain traders who would literally come in and say things like, all right, this is interest rate future, so I think interest rates are going up, so I should get long. We go, no, it's the opposite. It's a fixed rate coupon, so whatever, just go trade. And over time, I swear to God, the guys that understood trading and understood the kind of the direct approach that you guys talk about, get paid, treat this like a job. What you open your account and then get paid. Were the guys that prevailed, and oftentimes the guys that overthought markets, a la Saylor, were the guys that would get beat. If this puts it in perspective, consider this: Bitcoin has lost over 80% of its value twice since we've been trading it. So how, right? If it's that easy, it isn't. If you gotta negotiate around bear markets. You got to negotiate around politics. We're in an election year. Heck, there are markets, right? You got to negotiate around a terrorist attack. It is not easy.
It reminds me of, I was having another conversation. This wasn't on the golf course, but another conversation where someone was like, well, what's your strategy? You're a founder and a CEO of a company and you're young. What's your strategy on growth versus profitability? And I said, excuse you, versus profitability. My goal in starting a company is to make money. So we're profitable because I think the point of a business is to make money. They're like, well, what do you do? Are you going to pour it all into marketing? No. Like, what are you guys going to build next? Whatever my customers want me to build. I run a business and I build shit for my customers, and I'm profitable, and I pour our excess capital into Bitcoin. Like, no, you got to pour your excess capital into marketing, don't you? You're sacrificing growth potential for profitability. Like, why don't you guys build AI Bitcoin tricycle and market it on Facebook? Like, no, we make money, we work for Bitcoiners, and we buy Bitcoin. And it's like sometimes people are just they overcomplicate things. It's like,
I know you might be being too hard on that guy, right? Because aren't most startups almost instructed to grab as much market share, until the venture money runs out, right? I mean, what you get what you get. I got to 10%, and I could never get north of that number, right? Because it's once you hit a critical mass market share, and because like I said, my dad and his friends gave me 2 years to lose their money before. That got me 10% of market share. If I could have lost a little more of their money, I could have gotten 15 or 20. But that's your call, right? You got to get profitable pretty quickly.
I don't know. I think it's fiat. I think it's fiat games. It's like, it's this whole venture market where zero interest rate, COVID stimulus, where money isn't real, and you can get $50 million, spend it on people going to your website a lot, and be like, look, I got people to go to my website with $50 million, and they're like, oh, no way, here's $500 million, but you're not, like, it's unsustainable garbage.
This is 50 million. What are you getting back of the line? I didn't Roaring Kitty just buy $245 million of some sandwich shop.
That's my point. It's like all these guys
or dog food company or something.
Yeah, I think it's dog food. It's dog food.
I think I saw the quip on Twitter that now that he owns a video game store and a dog food store, he should or a pet shop or whatever, he should probably figure out if he could sell that synergy to Wall Street and we can start marketing video games to dogs. That guy some venture capitalists would give him $1 billion for that one, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll leave Scruffy home all day. We'll just put him in front of the TV, let him play his dog video game.
Yeah, my point is, I just think all the fiat mindset just really ruins your ability. Like, all you got to do is buy Bitcoin and hold it. If you're building a business, all you got to do is provide value for your customers and buy Bitcoin with the profits. And all these people are like, all these complicated. Well, had you considered had you considered pouring all your marketing dollars? No. I hadn't considered any of that. All I do is buy Bitcoin and I hold it.
By way of analogy, if you'd have told, employees when I was starting out to save some of your paycheck, make a rational decision and start investing now, no one's ever going to do it. But if you do direct deposits, right, or 401ks where you had a direct tax-free, chance to build your portfolio, it's almost unavoidable to build some wealth that way. I think don't you guys have just DCA features? Just plug it in and forget it. Don't look at the screen and just DCA your way off zero.
Yeah. I mean, I don't disagree with that. We actually, speaking of, we launched no fee DCA. Did you see that?
No. Congratulations.
Yeah. We turned off all the fees for Strike customers when they DCA, because you'd be surprised. People are always asked, like, how do you make any money? You running a scam over there? The DCA order is actually a tiny fraction of like the total business that we do. And so our strategy was, if a bunch of people are going to be coming into the industry, why I don't want them going to a shitcoin casino like Coinbase. And it's always a question of like, why strike? Why strike? And we say, we've got better technology, licensed, regulated, compliant, focus on Bitcoin, better quality products for the Bitcoiner. But I think a really great way is, hey, no fee DCA. If you want to have a passive DCA order, I'll waive the fee for you. And that way, hopefully, our hope, by the way, for everyone that thinks like, wait, how does this make any sense? Our hope is that you use more of our products where we do monetize. Like we monetize your smash buy on Bitcoin. And that if we're honest and loyal to Bitcoiners, so when people say, oh, why don't you spend more money on marketing? Like I'd rather spend money on this. I'll take our DCA revenue and I'll give it back to the Bitcoin community in hopes that you guys bring your friends, your family to Strike instead of a shitcoin casino. And that when you need to sell Bitcoin, when you need to do a large order, when you need to do stuff that we monetize, that you do it with us. But now, we offer no fee Bitcoin withdrawals and no fee DCA. So you could get Bitcoin to your cold storage for no fee on Strike. It's quite literally the cheapest way in the world to get Bitcoin if you use our DCA product.
Well, what does the rest of the industry look like? What fees for withdrawals?
Well, you got the blockchain, you got the on-chain fee.
Oh, okay.
Minor fee, but we cover that. We've got a really good fee estimator and batching. So, and we run that at no cost to us. I mean, the business is really matured. Strike's a monster. I just had a board meeting, grow 200% quarter over quarter, something like. I mean, it depends on what you're measuring, but Strike's great. And we're thinking, I'm like, how can I give back to our customers and grow our brand and our ability to attract everyone's friends and even people existing, like maybe you got a Gemini account or something. And it's like, what would make it really worth it for you? And instead of putting up a billboard in New York City, what a waste of money. Why don't we waive everyone's DCA fees? And hopefully people say, we respect that and we will do more business with Strike and we'll bring our friends to Strike. And when this bull run comes, it's a great place to start. Is turn on a no fee DCA, get your feet wet. So we did that last week. And I think everyone's loving it so far. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks.
Is that proprietary or is there?
No, actually.
You ever came up with anything in my business, like even marketing, you couldn't copyright it. People would just cut and paste. And
no, I think it was inspired. So we did it because we were listening to our customers, but I think our customers were inspired to want it from a company called River, who I have a ton of respect for. I really like the founder and the CEO, Sky Leishman. I really like him a lot. And I assume we were getting requests for it because they did it. But yeah, it's not something that you can't cop. I hope every Bitcoin company does it. I will say it's probably difficult because you got to be running a good shop that, again, makes money, is lean, is running. You got to be running a good shop probably to do that. But our customers
would not have offered that service to their customers. That you're saying? No, that was usually, Bitcoin companies used to be the, fly by night, but that's not true anymore, right? We're growing up a lot.
I think so. Yeah, I think so. All right. Sharp pivot to the one topic I think we got to talk about is the debate. We're all American. I know not all of our listeners are American, but you guys know what I'm talking about. The Trump-Biden debate. What a mess. I'm going to save my thoughts so that you guys can go first. Which one of you wants it? Dill, how about you go first? Because I don't think I've heard your voice yet.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the biggest, I feel like, takeaway from all this is no one that I know likes Trump or Biden. And those are the two options. So how is that possible? They like Trump if the other option is Biden. They like Biden if the other option is Trump. But no one likes either. So we don't like either. We want one because of the other. But like, who would ever hire someone because of that? So if I came to you and said, hey, Jack, listen, both these candidates for this customer support role that I'm hiring suck, but I think Donald's better than Joe because X. Knowing you, you would say, what the fuck are you doing? Don't hire either of them. I don't want anyone that sucks. I don't care if one guy sucks less than the other. They both suck, right? So if what I understand to be correct is true, we get to choose who gets elected. That choice is not made for us. This is America. We choose it. So when I say, for example, in this election, I'm not voting. And people look at me like I'm crazy. But if you say, well, oh, you can't do that, then the other side wins. I'd say that you're voting against the reason that I'm opting out in the first place, because you're too weak to have a true sense of individual opinion. And now I'm indicted because you were too weak to say, both these people suck. And what about option 3 or 4 or whatever? So I don't plan on participating in either part of this shit show. It really doesn't matter. I live in Chicago, Illinois. Anyway, whether I vote or not, the collective has already decided in my city that shitty 1 is better than shitty 2, because they're too weak to consider the fact or even entertain the idea that there are probably multiple options out there that don't suck.
I'm pretty sure I'm sure I've showed you this clip right there. I think that's the exact attitude that George Carlin used to put in his comedy routines growing up when they'd ask him why he never voted. He goes, I'm gonna stay home and watch porn because at least I'll have something to show for it. You guys, and oh no, and then but his also clip was, how can you guys say I'm not the problem? I never left my house that day. You guys elected this nonsense, right?
Yeah, and
I know, just trying to put a laugh on how to opt out when your choices are right. The 280-year-olds that cannot finish sentences, or well, no, one of them seems sharp, but which other brings up another point. I'm sure that was your first takeaway from that debate is you better put some systems in place to take care of me in another 10 or 15 years. Because, I mean, that guy's been a politician all his life. He can barely finish a sentence. I've been an amateur boxer all my life. How bad is it going to get? Right? You guys, you guys are going to have to put some systems in place. Like, get my diapers changed. Jesus, no, that was terrible. It was cringe. I don't care about politics, but you still, as a family man, you gotta. I guarantee everybody was thinking what they went through when their parents passed, or when their parents got to that stage where they were incapable anymore. Not a perfect analogy because nobody voted for my mom to be the president, but no, you know how it got. You got asking the same questions over and over again. I mean, it's, like I said.
Yeah, Bill, I don't know how old you are, but I imagine that you've lived a lot more life than I have. Have you ever seen a performance like that?
That debate?
Yeah.
Well, you guys, I mean, there's always famous gaffes. I can Google through them, but I think Gerald Ford often presented with like he'd been hit in the head. I mean, he had a football career, right? He always kind of presented that way anyways. And I do think that didn't one time he got Poland on the wrong side of the Iron Curtain Cold War discussion, right? And I mean, you're like, you guys don't even know what side, right, of the Iron Curtain that country is on. So yeah, I guess that kind of is close, but no, I mean, I don't know, politicians. I don't know how to answer what we witnessed, other than I can give you the analogy that I did see it. Gerald Ford got visibly dottery. Reagan in his end of his second term, but this is the end of his second term, not when he was running for anything, frequently looked a little confused. I remember because he was asked to respond to the 87 stock market crash, and what was that an indication that the economy was in some kind of a trouble, or financial markets were going to need some type of government help? And he just looked like he got caught in the headlights, kind of sputtering a little. That's my memory. I don't know. I might not be doing him justice, but yeah, that's end of your second term, end of your career, and you got to deal with financial market crises, or Ukraine crisis, or live debates. And that was an eye opener.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah, it made me think of weirdly enough, like Theodore Roosevelt. I mean, we were at a point at one time in American history, a president literally got shot on stage and said, it takes more than that to kill a bull moose, and finished his speech with a bullet in his body. And then you got a guy who looks like, he gets stuck on stage. He looks like he might trip over his left foot. And if he does, it looks like he might die if he did. It's like that's the person representing the strongest display of power that a single human being can acquire on this planet. It's that guy. Ah, man, I don't know. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm not sure that's going to have much impact on any of the markets I follow. I mean, a dottery lame duck. Like I said, where do you want to start? Ford, Reagan's second term. I don't remember that either of those had a terrible impact on financial markets. I think we just don't use the president that much for financial policy making. Hopefully, when we do, it's bearish, right? They're putting an embargo on something or walling something off.
Sanctioning Russia.
Yeah, sanctions.
I loved Bitstein's quote. You know who won that debate? Bitcoin. Bringing it back to Bitcoin, I think Bitcoin did win that debate. Well, I mean, this has got to be, even you're citing moments in history prior. I don't know if there was the lack of just distrust and interest in government that there is today. I don't think anyone trusts that inflation's going away. I don't think anyone trusts in current administration or potential new administration. So I think an alternative financial system that is distributed is probably more appealing than ever. That was I'll bring it back to the golf course yesterday. A comment that was made on the golf course was, it doesn't matter who gets elected, we're fucked. That was the direct quote. And I asked, what does that mean? Foreign policy or something? I said, no, we're in so much debt. We can't pay that debt back. And it's like, okay, cool. So none of this, nothing else about the debates mattered at all to anyone. No one ever said, well, hold on a second. Did you hear when Biden meant? Everyone just said, we're in so much debt, we can't pay it back. Inflation's not going away. It's like, oh, okay. So Bitcoin won the debate. Great. Cool. I agree.
Hey, before we leave politics, don't let me forget. Because I do think in my long career in Bitcoin, I do think I've been on the other side of arguments, probably block size war, maybe, but I guarantee I've been on the other side of some issues with Ryan Selkis. And but I want to really give him a compliment this time. I'll put it this way. Who do you think, if you'd asked me a year ago, who do you think's going to get into, who do you think's going to orange pill some major party political candidate? I would have guessed one of you guys. That you guys are going to get in someone's ear and not let them go. But no, I think Ryan got the job done right. I don't know how he got access in there, but he's got the Republican Party using this as a lever, and I am a single issue voter, so I am.
We got to slow.
You got my vote, right?
We got to slow down a little, because I think there's multiple people that I don't want to say are claiming credit, but seem to be involved. And I don't want any part in who gets the crown of orange pilling Trump in it, because I don't know the answer. So I know David Bailey's been involved in the Bitcoin Magazine team. I know Selkis has been involved. I don't know if they're all a team, if they all, called them at the same time. I have no fucking idea. But yeah, whoever's bringing,
thank you.
Bitcoin to nation state and to the U.S. in particular, that's phenomenal. I think I heard Saylor make some comments recently about the game theory of all this, as it was inevitable. But yeah, whoever, because I've said it. I mean, Satoshi put a tremendous amount of power with the people, didn't he? I mean, when have you ever been able to see a president just whip into shape and support the populace on a standing issue like this? And that's because it's all distributed with us. We run the nodes. We have all the coins. It'd be different if Satoshi listed Bitcoin on Wall Street through Goldman Sachs. He didn't. He leaked it on a mailing list. And so
I think it's debatable whether this was inevitable. I think I could have easily seen it go the opposite way, that as Bitcoin grew and began to encroach on traditional finance, that Wall Street would get more active to donating to politicians and keep it out of, keep Bitcoin out of the political dialogue. I could have easily seen that go that way. I mean, look, we got one party that wants to double the IRS. For what? I'd say predominantly cryptocurrencies, right?
Yeah, maybe. I was reading I was also shout out to Bitstein. The reason I was looking through his stuff is he was doing some podcasts recently. He's revamping the Satoshi Nakamoto Institute, the Nakamoto Institute that he founded like a decade ago, and that's where I learned a lot of my early stuff. Like
Founded SNI?
Yeah, him and
Danny Kravitz
yeah,
was
Kravitz, Pierre Rochard, and
Pierre Rochard. Yeah, really good writing.
yeah. Well, and I don't know if is it Kravitz, Croce. It's whatever. He's a shitcoiner now, so I don't really remember his name.
Well,
He's
I never know how to pronounce it. I only know it from reading his
Roy Brits. Yeah,
timeline.
yeah, but he's not there anymore. He got into Bcash. R.I.P. Unfortunate.
Always welcome back. There's gonna be a lot of that in the coming years, right?
Yeah, every site
States that are thinking, what was I thinking, right?
Yeah, every site. So we our Bitstein and Pierre are revamping it. Their new website, new logo, and so I was going through the stuff and I was reading some old Satoshi quotes. And so the way Satoshi's trying to explain to people some of the game theory, and it's like if you got enough, computing power to even try to double spend one of your transactions, you might as well just mine Bitcoin. And it's the game. And it was cool. I always love, like, at least once a month, I go back and read old Satoshi stuff. Cause it's just, I've said this before, the day that I quote unquote retire or whatever, I'd love to be a Bitcoin historian. I would love to go to university and teach Bitcoin and that history and monetary theory and stuff. And so I'm looking at it, and he's effectively trying to explain to these people 15 years ago the point that you're better off on Bitcoin's team than against Bitcoin in every scenario. That's like how it's designed from the very code that he wrote. And he's trying in a mailing list. He's like, listen, I get it. But if you were strong enough to attack Bitcoin, you actually stand more to gain just by supporting it. And that's what we see from Trump and all these guys is like it, but it reigns true from 15 years ago. Satoshi was trying to explain double spend, but it's the same thing. Is if you're strong enough to be the president of the United States or whatever, you're better off actually supporting Bitcoin and buying Bitcoin for your country and having Jack Dorsey and Coinbase and all the businesses here and all the innovation here and all the miners here than you are against it. So just when you think about attacking it, consider, wait a second, I'm strong enough to attack it. I'd get even more if I supported it. That's been the game theory for 15 years. Still true.
No, it's remarkable because I'm sure all the cypherpunk discussions on how to protect, an e-currency innovation, when the answer was just distribute it, it is the easiest way. If the government wants to, change the chapter of a Mark Twain book, and the only copy exists in the Library of Congress, then that's the new version of it. But if it's distributed in every library in America, then you can't get there, right? The distribution is a non-intuitive security model.
Yeah, well, that's we have all the leverage, the people, because we have all the coins. That's the thing. Is like, well, hold on a second. This Bitcoin thing's really important. Who's got them all? What? Who's Sailor? Sailor's got 1%. Like we, the collective people, have all the coins, and so like you want our support.
Does he have 1%?
Yeah, he's got over 200. MicroStrategy's got over 210,000 coins at this point, so that's a good position. But I guess my point is, you're never going to get a concentrated amount in any single holder at this point. It's long gone. It was just so perfectly distributed, and that was, the more you look at Bitcoin history and you read Satoshi's writings and stuff, you can't help but wonder, was this guy that fucking smart, or was there a little bit of luck involved? Because even the monetary policy and the distribution mechanisms were like, if you were to change a little bit and try it all over again, I'm not sure it would have worked. It was fast enough to distribute to the people before someone like BlackRock and Sailor figured it out. But it was also slow enough too, where it wasn't highly inflationary and it can actually build a monetary base and build real authentic market cycles, free market cycles. It was like, it feels perfect. Like you're never, is the Big Bang. You can never replicate this ever again. But we have all the coins, the people. And so if you want our support, but we act as one network. We act as one. So like you support us, we'll all vote for you as if we're one giant vote. But like you can't ever show up at our house because we're like hundreds of millions of people all over the world. It's a giant distributed organism. It's crazy. But like we have all the coins, which at the end of the day, that's all that matters. We run the nodes. We have the coins.
I know, I don't want to, no, and I agree, obviously 100%, but when you go perfect, I would say I've always wondered why there wasn't more discussion on more gradual new issuance reduction instead of abrupt halvings. Why once every 4 years does new issuance fall off a cliff instead of more gradually, drop maybe 10% in more frequent increments? Because, and the reason I've never wondered why there wasn't more discussion on that is because with the halving schedule, you get such an uneven distribution of coins for the first 4 years, right? They all dump into concentrations of hobbyists. Is that the fair distribution that you want? No, it's fair, but I put it this way. Satoshi was never looking for fair distribution of coins. He was looking to make it fair access to coins, right? Because anybody could have plugged something in,
I agree with that.
And gotten there. But there's nothing that I can see in the design that even hints at getting a fair distribution. You got 10% of Bitcoin holders hold a lot of early sailors. I don't know. I'd be interested what the distribution of it is, because I would bet that the top 10% Bitcoin holders hold, over half the coins easily.
But I think it was an adoption accelerant, right? Like if
Right.
new issuance occurred gradually and systematically and not in such a dramatic step ladder fashion, then maybe I'd be, or we'd be, or my kids would be interested in Bitcoin 20 years from now, 30 years from now. But you have to be, in theory, like right now. Right now is the best time to be interested and buy this thing. Because another 3.5 years, right? Falls off.
I'm losing. Now, obviously, my opinion is informed by what I do for a living, because trading around halvings is very difficult. It would be easier to trade if it kind of more gradually reduced new issuance. Trading around Bitcoin halvings,
Yeah, well, I have a few thoughts on this one. One is I've come all the way around to, volatility is a feature, not a bug. Volatility attracts liquidity. Volatility is by definition opportunity. And so I agree that it was an accelerant to adoption, because volatility, especially in a world of central bank, centrally planned monetary policy and centrally controlling and centrally pricing things, volatility is unique and helped accelerate adoption. So volatility is a good thing. So it does make it extremely volatile and hard to stomach for existing participants. But I think it's just part of, because eventually it won't matter. Like 50 years from now, halvings will not matter nearly as much. But it's just in order for it to get adopted, it has to make noise. It has to be noticed. It has to start that flywheel. The other thing on coin distribution, I said this on a podcast recently. So the thing about Bitcoin that's different than the fiat system, if you've got 1 million Bitcoins, and that's like the wealth that you have, in order to sustain that wealth, you need to be living your life in a profit effectively. Like if money is our time and energy in an abstracted form, Bitcoin at the very least requires you to continue to output valuable time and energy to society, or else you're going to be distributing those coins as well in the form of needing to sell them to fund your life, right? I guess my point is, for the people that say, that guy got 10,000 Bitcoins early on and he's just sitting on his couch all day, but then that's fine if he is, but then he would have less coins next year and less coins the year after that, because he's not doing anything with his life. At least with Bitcoin, you have to do stuff. Like the wealth there's no free yield. Like the problem with the wealth class today is you can just sit in treasuries and sit in the real estate you got passed down and do fuck all for the world. Bitcoin doesn't let you do fuck all. Like you have to, if you want more coins next year, than you have this year, you have to do valuable things for other people.
Right.
And so there is a form of redistribution of early holders. And that's because they have to sell the coins. And selling Bitcoin is absolutely redistribution. You see it in the market cycles. Bitcoin gets high enough. Bitcoin got to 70K last market cycle, and then there was some redistribution. There are existing holders that sold it and bought things, and those coins found new homes. And so I think that's not necessarily appreciated compared to the old system. Is like, if there's not an issue. I don't have an issue personally with the wealth class or there being rich people, but what I value is that rich people, in order to stay and remain rich, have to be doing valuable shit for the world and being compensated for that, or else their wealth will just depreciate to nothing because they'll have to spend the Bitcoin to live. And eventually you become poor if you're not doing real shit for real people, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine. Bitcoin will be distributed naturally. People that do really valuable things for other people will have coins, and people that don't do valuable things for society, even if they have a lot of coins, will soon have 0 coins because they're sitting on the couch and aren't doing shit. Right?
It's a fascinating distribution model, and I don't. But yeah, I guess that it's proof of work. It was never like I said.
Exactly. It's proof of work with the actual machines or with human like energy, like caloric energy that you get off your fucking ass and actually do something with your life. That's proof of work too. Like I mine Bitcoin, but I mine it through my proof of work with Strike. Our treasury grew 15% last quarter. We mined Bitcoin, but it was not the proof of work hashing. It was proof of work building shit that people value. You know, same thing though.
I like it.
Yeah, I think that's underappreciated. People are like, isn't Bitcoin just going to bring in like a new wealth class, but it's going to be the same, rich versus the poor? Like, no. If you're rich in Bitcoin terms, it's because you're doing valuable things for a lot of people, and you're able to retain the wealth because you mean something to society. If you don't mean anything to society, then your coin stack is just going to dwindle down because you're going to have to sell it, right? It's like, that's so different than being able to sit in like a risk-free fucking, 4.5% treasury where they're just giving, like, that's so different than the fiat system. This is real proof of work. No matter what, if you've got a lot of coins and you're able to sustain those coins over time, proof of work in some function.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I really do feel strongly that it's just Big Bang. Like, there's obviously at this point, I think everyone else agrees, but you're never gonna be able to replicate what Satoshi did. It's just unbelievable to the definition of the word. Okay, what else? That might be a good place to end it. Or are there any other topics you guys want to talk about?
Okay. No, I mean politics. I'm really looking forward to Bitcoin being represented in political debates.
Yeah.
That like you said, it may have been inevitable. I can agree it was inevitable, but not this quickly.
I agree with that.
You went from, what was it? I mean, think when was the last meetup we used to hold? How many people that come for the free pizza? I have no idea what you're talking about. And you're like, no, really, you should. What's your line of work? You're in retail or a vendor. All right, you start accepting Bitcoin. Let me educate you. And I mean, that's tough. That was tough sledding.
Yeah.
I also don't think people in dollar economies really consider the nature of money, how it's produced and how it's valued, right? Very often it's just whatever the cost of living is. I don't know. I'm willing to be kind of patient.
No, I agree on the how fast. I mean, just being in Bitcoin, maybe that's a being in the tornado type of thing versus viewing it from the outside, but it is true that seeing the progress and living through the progress and being in the space, it is ridiculous that we got Trump. We're now in July. It is July 1st. So we got Trump going to a Bitcoin conference. I think he's confirmed, right? This month. Crazy. Unbelievable.
He's going to a Bitcoin conference?
I think he's speaking at the Bitcoin conference in about 3.5 weeks.
I'll tell you, it was a long time. God, when Bitcoin first started hitting political radar maps, right? It was all Silk Road, capital control, evading, taxation, evading. I've always been pretty proud of the Chicago exchanges for their, for their involvement in politics. They were all, like I said, as I grew up, I seen Dan Rostenkowski would come to my Little League games or come to cookouts in my house and stuff. And then I'd see him on TV years later, right? Speaker of the House or Ways and Means Committee or something. I mean, the Chicago exchanges are also 100 years old, but I thought they did a much better job than this industry of getting some type of political influence, or at least some type of friends. I know we got, Lummis and Polis here. But no, there's been so much, like I said, you guys, I assume I'm talking to a bunch of people that have either been through their IRS audit or are currently going through their IRS audit, but boy, they unleashed the IRS on us. I don't know, new industry, maybe that's wasn't bad thinking. Let's clean it up. But it seemed like we've gotten a lot of hostility from this government. And I just think this is night and day that there's a major political candidate standing next to Ryan Selkis on a stage. I think it's impactful.
Yeah. Agree. Okay. Well, let's wrap it there. Dylan, were there any questions? There was one I wanted to answer about our logo, but were there any other questions outside of that?
No, I was gonna ask that question as well, because I love the answer. But I have one question for you guys. There's another debate, I believe September 10th, between Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Wow. What do you think the live odds are Bitcoin gets brought up or crypto gets brought up?
Live odds.
I think that as an election issue, right, it's, Liz Warren, Gary Gensler on one side, and, Vivek Ramaswamy and, a lot of more crypto friendly on the other side. I don't see any reason to bring it up. If your issue is cryptocurrency, you are most certainly not voting for Liz Warren, Gary Gensler, and Joe Biden, right? I mean, unless you wanted another IRS audit. I mean, they have been pretty hostile to our industry. I know as elections near, they're trying to reach out a little bit, right? But no, I think the political consequences are all one way in my mind. I can't imagine what it would take to get me to vote for Gary Gensler, Liz Warren, Joe Biden's party. I just what they put this industry through and how much they held it back. I mean, we're this close to having more economic freedom in Canada, right? Didn't they get didn't they get ETFs or whatever they call them, ETPs? Then they get investment vehicles, and solving the onboarding problem was huge. It was hard to get long. Write down all your words, secure your device. Hopefully, somebody doesn't grab it. I mean, they were ahead. Canada was ahead of Wall Street in introducing some of these onboarding products. Now, I think we need I'm glad Bitcoin is on a stage. It can't get any worse.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have an answer. I just am not a political guy. I have no fucking idea how it debates.
No, you don't have to be. I mean, the industry, and you really don't have to be, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. To just answer Dylan's question, I don't know the odds. Like, who even comes up with the question? CNN?
It's ABC News for the next one, I believe.
Yeah, I have no fucking idea. Who knows? Who knows? But I agree with Dad.
Where are they holding this debate?
Usually
at a university. Right?
The empty closet.
Yeah, in Jack's closet. Yeah, I have no idea.
Rather show up in some Bitcoin shirts if it's anywhere around on the West Coast.
Cool. We got a question from the audience from Bill St. Pierre. Dollar Bill St. Pierre said, "Hey guys, I love the show. Question: is the strike logo supposed to represent a middle finger? A friend of mine saw it and now I can't unsee it."
Yeah, it's a little nugget actually. If you turn the strike logo, so it's obviously a meteor like a strike. Maybe one day we explain the depth of the strike logo because it's a meteor crashing into the fiat system and it's very cool. But if you turn it 69 degrees, it is a proper middle finger. It's a little nugget for our best fans out there.
Who designed the logo? That's got to be Dylan, right? You're the more the marketing guy.
No, at the time,
Oh,
Jack was the product design guy. So we debated back and forth on names and stuff, but we had a few iterations of the logo that we went through. And Jack, I think you ultimately decided on the meteor.
Yeah, well, I did, but it was with the first designer we ever had at the company. His name's Ole. So shout out to him. He's no longer with us. He left a while ago, but he was the one that came up with it with me. And then lately, the latest iteration, because now all of our stuff is gorgeous. I mean, every slide I present is gorgeous. Though that's Josh, Tom, and Namson. That's our design team at Strike. And so I think it was Josh and Tom specifically that touched up our logo and made it like really professional and cool. But it still kept the nugget that if you rotate it a little bit, you can use it as a middle finger. And that nugget is in the app all the time. Like I think our loading screen like has it for a second, flashes it rotated and stuff like that. We try and keep it fun. No one likes any person or anyone that takes themselves too seriously. We're Bitcoiners at heart. So
Yeah. This, by the way, is a decision that you can easily blow. Most entrepreneurs try to name the company after themselves or something personal to them, the Jack's Garage Incorporated or something, right? Because it's inside out. You're talking to your partners and your, and your investors. It's just hard to think outside in. That's why I always thought when, Senior's idea, First American Discount Corp was great. I probably would have named it the Mallers Financial Company because my dad had such a great name in that industry. But It's like, we're not marketing to the industry. We're marketing to retail. And I thought you guys did a great job with your Strike branding.
Yeah, thank you. That's a compliment.
And even the debt, right? With the
that's a compliment right there. He's good at what he does.
No, and that was a tough. That could have easily gone. I'm glad you didn't ask me. I probably would have, have something, more personal, linked to you. But good job.
So far, so good. Orange coin go up. Okay. Well, that's all for this week. If you guys have comments, questions, please keep leaving them. We appreciate all the support. We crossed 10,000 YouTube subscribers. How cool is that? A decent amount of you guys around the world listen to us every single Monday. We have a lot of fun with it. We appreciate it. I can say It's about the coolest thing in the world to be able to do a podcast with my dad and my best friend. I mean, these are the type of things that just make you feel lucky that this is our job. And
speaking around the world, when are you guys hitting the road again? Conferences or just presentations, traveling?
We're going
rarely in one city for long, right?
That's a good point. I think my next stop is Nashville for the Trump Bitcoin conference. That's in about 3 weeks or so. I'll probably head over to Nashville. But I get a little 4th of July and some time in Chicago. Summertime shy is the best. But yeah, thanks to everyone who listens, comment, questions. We appreciate you guys. We have fun with it. Let us know what you want us to talk about or how we can make it better. And we'll see everyone next week.
Thank you.
See you next week.